Welcome back, witches, for Vlogtober day 21. We are doing another car vlog today because I am off to my friend's house. So no need to watch because it's just going to be me sitting in the car, but you can listen in as you are, doing your other tasks that you've got going on for today. So I am off to my friend Betsy's house. Her husband is out of town and she wants to duck prank him. So I don't know if you have seen that. It has been on social media quite a bit, where you get those like tiny little rubber ducks. I don't know, get like 100 of them or something. I think she has 100 and they're really little. And you hide them like sort of all over the house. And that is what she wants to do today. So she has her ducks and she wants my help in hiding them in little places all over their house, and then she wants my help with like a couple of other things because I am very good at decluttering and organizing and she is not. So she always wants my help with those things. So we are just having a hangout day and day of getting stuff done. So I figure while I drive over there, we could just do a little Q&A, put out a call for questions. I did not do it on the YouTube community tab, so I'm sorry if that is where you follow, and I didn't ask for questions there. Maybe I will do that again at some point, but just so you know, I respond to comments. So if you have any other questions and want to ask them in the comments, feel free. I will answer them. But I got a good mix of questions, and I am just going to knock out the like sort of fun ones first, the quick like, what's your favorite this? Because they were sort of seasonal related, so I thought we'll start with those easy questions. And they were, what is your favorite Halloween movie, favorite witch movie, favorite TV show, and favorite music that you're listening to right now? I think those were all the favorites. So favorite Halloween movie. So if we're not like talking like which movies is going to be separate, then my favorite Halloween movie is Trick or Treat. I don't find that one particularly like scary. I think it's more funny than anything else. So I like to rewatch that one each year. My husband loves all of the classic like 80s and 90s like serial killer movies, Friday the 13th, all the Halloween movies, the Nightmare on Elm Street, literally all of them. He is a fan. I think he's the biggest fan of Michael Myers and all the Halloween movies, and he watches all of them. We even watched Jason in Space, which is not what it's called. I think it's called Jason X. I mean, it's terrible, but it's Jason in Space, and it's hilarious. And those movies aren't that scary to me either. They're just like so campy. So I'm a fan of the campy movies. I do not like movies that are really gory or like really scary. I will just have like nightmares about those, and you never know which ones are going to set me off, because to this day my two biggest fears are lawn gnomes because of Goosebumps, which I guess were books, but still, and birds, because my mom made me watch The Birds when I was way too young. And somebody commented on that because I always share my bird feeder on Instagram, and you've seen it here on YouTube as well, like in some of my vlogs and stuff. I have a bird feeder on the window and I'm always watching all of them. We get like 20 little birds. We had some new birds this morning, and everybody's always like, I thought you were scared of birds. Like, I am terrified because my mom made me watch the Alfred Hitchcock movie way too young, and I am still scared of birds. But my first thought is they're outside. I put the food out, so they're not in the house, so that's good. But also, if I'm the one that like keeps putting the food out and I'm like touching it, they're gonna know my face and know my smell, and then they're not gonna attack me, right? Isn't that how that's gonna work? Like, I am the nice person who gives them all the food, so don't eat me. So that's my bird strategy. But yes, terrified of birds. So I don't like super scary movies. Anything that is like too creepy is not going to be up my alley. But Trick or Treat is probably my favorite. As far as favorite witch movies, Hocus Pocus just wins. I love Hocus Pocus. And favorite witch TV show, it's not necessarily like dedicated witch TV show, but Willow is a witch, so I'm going with Buffy. It's not as like dedicated witchy as like Sabrina is, but Buffy is still like my all-time favorite, and I even like went back and rewatched it recently and I was like, yep, still good. There's also, what's your favorite Halloween activity? And I think it is just decorating my house and then checking out other neighborhood decor. Like, I like to walk around and see what other people are doing in the same way that people like to drive around and look at Christmas lights. Halloween's my season. And then it was favorite music, and it wasn't like specifically like pagan or witchy music. It was just like, what are you listening to right now? And my tastes vary widely and change by the day. I just, whatever I'm in the mood for, but I guarantee that my Spotify top 3 are going to be Taylor, Ghost, and Matchbox 20. So really tastes all over the board. Another easy question was, do I know my Celtic zodiac information? Yes, I do. I was born on November 20th. So that is, the Celtic tree is the reed and the animal is the owl. And that Celtic zodiac sign runs from end of October to end of November. So those two like really go with the Samhain season. They are both good for banishing negativity, for protecting the home, for contacting ancestors. So they really go along with the season. I don't really do too much with Celtic magic, Celtic background. My mom is Irish, but I'm adopted, so that obviously didn't pass down to me. And a lot of witchcraft today is like based in Wicca, and Wicca is based in like Celtic and British. So there's no way to like completely have like no Celtic influence in my witchcraft. And obviously Samhain is a Celtic holiday, so there are 4 Sabbats going along with Celtic traditions. But I'm not particularly researching what the Druids did or anything like that, or using the Celtic zodiac for any particular reason. I just like to know all of that information. Another like fun question but hard question was, if I had to replace all of my witchcraft tools and books, what would I replace first? And that is a tough one. And like my follow-up question for that would be like, does my laptop count? That would be like my main thing. So if I still have my laptop, if that wasn't like completely considered gone with all of the rest of my tools, then laptop would have to be the first thing that I replace. But if I still have that, then that opens up a whole world of opportunities, because I keep a digital grimoire. I can research everything, look up correspondences. And then other follow-up question would be like, do I still have the knowledge that I already have, or did I lose that as well? Because there are so many like correspondences and things that I just know, so I don't need to pick up a book of correspondences, because like A, I could Google it, but B, like sometimes I just know it because I've done it so much and have been practicing for so long and have the same herbs and things that always work for me. So do I still have that knowledge? Then that would change my answer. But I think one of the first things that I would pick up again would absolutely be some sort of grimoire and space to like write things down. I do love recording things digitally, but there is just something about like writing stuff down. So some sort of like pen and paper so I can write stuff down. My just memory for the spells that I do, how things turn out, like when I did things, is just not that great. And I think that information is so important to be able to go back and look at like what's working, what's not working. Do I need to undo something, redo something? So if I don't have that information written down someplace, then I'm just kind of lost. So I always feel like I need that. So that would be one of the very first things that I replace. And then I would probably pick up a clear quartz, because I do love crystals. I do a lot with crystals, and clear quartz just kind of covers everything. Let's get into the questions that were a little more witchy and a little bit tougher to answer. The first was not personal for me, but just a general question, was why do I feel tired after spells? That is very common. It's called spell drop. And that is just not grounding in some way and getting like the energy that you need. You just expended too much of your own energy, so you feel tired afterwards. And that is something that comes with practice. So you really want to ground first and use another source to draw energy from, and then at the end, like send that back down into the earth, so you don't go too far the other way and become like too anxious and have too much energy. So we're just looking for like a nice balance. So if you are regularly experiencing spell drop, then that suggests that you might need to work a little bit more on those grounding skills and pulling energy from another source. And if it only happens once in a while, it might just be that it was a big spell, bigger than you're used to. You're using more energy than you're used to. It happens pretty regularly, and it's just like if you were tired for anything else. Take a nap if you need to, eat something, chocolate always helps. Drink something, just relax, and your energy should come back. I also got the question of what is the most common mistake that new witches make? And I don't know if there is like one most common one. One that I see often is trying to do too much at once at the beginning and getting burnt out and then never picking up witchcraft again, which I think is a shame. But when you are just starting out, like, it's so fun and there's so much to learn, but you have to crawl before you can walk. And that means like learning the basics and getting a handle on those things, which may not be like as fun, but once you do, then you have like a whole world of topics opened up to you and you can pick and choose from there. But I know a lot of new witches just start learning everything at once and diving into like more complicated topics and trying to learn everything, and their brain just gets fried and they get so burnt out so fast because they're like, I'm overwhelmed, like there's just so much information and I've been doing so many different things and I'm tired and I'm not retaining everything that I learned, and this is just too hard. Witchcraft is not hard. There are some aspects of it that can be more difficult, but witchcraft, its basis is just using your energy to get what you want and need in the world, giving the universe an extra push. And there are natural ebbs and flows where like every witch feels burnout at some point. You could take a break and come back to it. I just always feel terrible when new witches like quit. So I just don't want to see new witches quit just because there is, that feeling of burnout. Just, slow down, learn things one at a time, and keep going. Another fun question that was more personal to me is, what is something that you do in your practice that is unexpected or less common? And I really don't know how to answer that one because I don't think that I do anything that is like particularly unique. I think it really is just standard sort of hearth witchcraft based, and I'm not sure that I've ever done anything in my practice where people are like, no, I've literally never seen that before. I feel like I have some commonalities with other witches. Something that I think is less common that I try to do in my witchcraft and spell work. I don't always accomplish it, but I do try to use all 5 senses in my spells. This is easier for like rituals rather than just quick spells, especially when that taste one comes into play, but it makes me feel like more grounded and in the moment when I can tap into all 5. This usually happens with my kitchen magic, because obviously I'm cooking something, so that it's got that sense of taste there, but I will play music or ring a bell, and that's that sense of sound. Sight's pretty easy. Touch is fairly easy because I am picking up my ingredients and putting everything together like that. Sense of smell is pretty easy as well when it comes to witchcraft, just because most of kitchen magic especially, but then like most of the ingredients that I use, like something has a smell to it, whether that is the herbs, scented candles, something like that. So that is something that I try to tap into that I'm not sure is like that common. Maybe not everybody thinks about that, but something I try to do when I am planning out like my rituals. I don't do it every single spell, but when I am planning rituals, I like to do that. Then I got 2 questions that were a little more personal, like harder to answer. Well, first one is easier to answer, but I didn't want to make people feel like that's common, so it's going to be a longer answer. The first question then was, how long did it take you to deconstruct from a religious background? And for me, 0 days, but that is not that common, so I don't want people to feel bad if it is taking you longer, because it completely depends on the person and what that sort of background and upbringing was. So if you held those beliefs like very closely, your family was raised that way, and your family has issues with you being a pagan, then it could take a very long time to deconstruct that, and it might be like a lifelong process, and things like pop up that you didn't even realize. So there is no like time frame that you're shooting for and like everything's going to be fixed within a certain number of like months or years. That's just not how it works. But for me in particular, yeah, I always mention that my parents are Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic schools. So I think people wonder like how long it took for me to like deconstruct all those beliefs, but for me it was 0 days because I never believed it, like not one single time. I have distinct memories of being in the CCD, like Catholic school, Sunday school classes, really young, maybe like 6 or 7, and just remembering like, okay, the teachers want me to memorize this prayer and be able to repeat it, and that's what I did. I was like doing the work that the teachers want. I mean, there's no passing a class when you're in kindergarten, but doing the work that my teachers wanted to see and like getting the response that I wanted out of the adults. But I never ever believed that somebody was listening to that prayer, that there was somebody answering it, that all of the, you know, Bible verses and things that like went behind that. Like, I did not believe in any of that ever. Very distinct memories of that. And I even like distinctly remember they make you go to like your first confession, and I like made stuff up, which should have been my first confession. Be like, I don't have anything to say to you, so I'm going to lie about it. Lying in church. I don't know if that's a sin of lying to a priest when you're like 11 years old. Probably. But I was like, I don't have anything to confess, and I don't believe in this anyway. So there was never a single day in my life, and like even like going to Catholic schools, especially like the junior high that I hated, they had like special intentions every day where like if you had somebody or like something situation that you wanted like the rest of the class to like pray for with you, you could do that. And there was like one time when like somebody was thinking, my dad was like, oh, say a special intention at school, and I was like, oh sure, and just like repeated it. But I never believed that I was specifically like praying to make that better, or that like my class was too. Like, I literally never once in my life believed those things to be true. I'm a very logical, rational thinker, and I need proof for things, which is the exact opposite of faith. That's what everybody says. Well, like, of course there's no proof, you just have to have faith. That's what faith is. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have that. That is not who I am as a person at my core. Like, I didn't need my teachers in grade school to teach me the scientific method, because I already inherently knew it, because that's the way that things should be done. That is how you prove things. That just made sense to me. Faith does not make sense to me. In case you're wondering about my Myers-Briggs, it is ESTJ, and all of those letters there directly mean that I don't have faith in things. So I always considered myself more agnostic. It's not that I don't believe that those things like could exist, and there are like potentially unlimited possibilities of what the afterlife could look like, if there is one, what the deities are, if they exist. It's not that I am an atheist and believe that nothing exists. It's not like, I don't know. You can't know. Nobody knows. So I will chug along until there are some more definitive answers. I do absolutely believe that there is some mystery and magic in the world that just cannot be explained, that science hasn't figured out a way to explain that yet. I think most of us have seen that. And I also believe that there's science behind a lot of witchcraft. The two go hand in hand for me. But yes, all that to say then that it did not take me any time at all to deconstruct, because there was nothing constructed in the first place. And I did not have any issues with my parents' family not liking the fact that I wasn't Catholic anymore. I don't think any of them really believed that I ever was. I also never believed in the Easter Bunny or Santa. I think I believed in Santa maybe for a little bit, but I stopped that really early, like so early that my mom had to give me the talk of being like, do not tell other kids and do not tell your cousins, because they are still young and still enjoy this magic of Christmas. So I remember that, and I never ever believed in the Tooth Fairy. My mom tried very hard to get me to believe in the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny, and those were both absolutely not. So I don't think that it ever came to a surprise to my parents that religion was another thing that I was like, nope, don't believe it. So that's kind of my story, but that is not necessarily common. So like I said, do not feel bad if you have actually like deeply held beliefs and your family does, and it is much harder for you to pull away from that. And the other question on that I got was, what does John think about me being a witch? How does he handle that? And if you are new here, John is my husband. We sort of went to high school together. Went to high school with his sister. We went to the all-girls Catholic school. He went to the all-boys Catholic school. So we've known each other since high school. So his whole family is still Catholic. And the answer to what does he think of me being a witch is that he could not possibly care less. And he's the one where it's like, I don't really believe what you believe, and you don't believe what I believe, so who really cares? He really has no opinion about it. But then he's like, there was that Instagram like meme or TikTok going around of the like jar of dirt from one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and it's like about fantasy football. Like, can you do magic for my fantasy football team? And they're like, does it work? Is this real? It's like, the jar of dirt. And it's like, does it help? Then it's real. So he is like that, where he's like, I don't feel good. Can you fix it? Can you do witchcraft to fix it? Which is like herbalism. And of course, like sending healing energy and lighting certain candles and things. But he does the same for like protections and stuff. He's like, can you do witchcraft to fix it? I'm like, see, you believe it. So he is perfectly fine with it. And he understands like those things on a like basic level where he's like, okay, yeah, it's witchcraft, but it's totally herbalism. I get it. A lot of the ingredients and things that you use are the base ingredients for the same drugs that I would go buy at Walgreens or CVS. So he totally understands that. And then some of the like more energetic stuff, he gets that too, because that's common in Catholicism. It's just a different like sort of way of looking at it, and I'm not reaching out to like his deity in order to get those results. It's just like based on like me and my actions and sort of putting intentions out into the universe, which is like a little bit different, but he understands that as being a similar prospect. So yes, he is not bothered by it at all. He thinks it's fun, and he is very much like that with anybody. He's like, as long as you're not, you know, bothering anybody else, I don't care what you believe, I don't care what you do. And he's always been that way with everything. There were some older generations in his family that have since passed on that had issues with some family members coming out as gay, somebody having a child before getting married, and John's like, whatever, that's their life, they're not bothering me. Like, he's like, live and let live. Like, unless you're trying to force your opinions, I'm not trying to like force my witchcraft or like beliefs onto him. I am just doing my own thing. Then he's like, that's great, like I'm happy for you that you like have what you like and what you enjoy. He's just like, I don't like people, you know, showing up at my door and saying to convert to their religion. That bothers him. But he's like, everybody should do what they want. That's always kind of his personality. So he's like, that's great. And he wants to like be part of like the podcast or the YouTube. He's always like, oh, there's my friend. He's always like, oh, what are you filming or something? And I'm like, and he's like, I want to be a part of it. I want to be on the video. And I'm like, what will we talk about? So I don't know. If you have questions for him, we could put that in a video. But anyway, I am here. Thank you for listening to Vlogtober Day 21. I am at my friend's house. We're going to say hello to Betsy. There's Betsy. And we are going to go get our stuff done. So happy Vlogtober Day 21, and I will see you tomorrow.